like Christy said, Ashley and I got to attend the Learner Agency conference last February, right before everything shut down. And we haven't been able to share. We found some really great things from that conference. And then IB held their first virtual conference this fall. And Narda, Marnie, Ashley, and I watched several webinars. And so as we were talking, we thought, well, there's all these new PYP updates that could be coming, that are coming out. And, that might be really overwhelming to try to throw all of that at everybody right now. And so we kind of felt like Learner Agency would be something great that we could use as an umbrella approach. And then we could kind of tackle some mini PDs under the agency umbrella to kind of highlight different parts of IB to help encourage ownership just in different areas. So today's professional development is Learner Agency, and we are going to be talking about the learner profile. The learner profile was part of our self-study of trying to be better with kind of promoting the learner profiles and talking about those and incorporating them in our classroom. And so today we're going to be talking about how we can help our kids with student agency and ownership through the learner profile in your classroom. So we have lots of strategies to offer you, but something really small that you'll be able to take away and implement into something you're already doing. So it's not going to be something that you're going to have that's going to be big that you're adding to your plate, because all of us are overwhelmed right now. And so we're trying to offer just some little bite-sized things that you can take away and implement right away. So I am going to share my screen with y'all so that you can see my presentation. All right. So usually at the beginning of the year is a great time to introduce the profile. Sometimes we have lots of new learners that are coming and joining the IB program. And so I'm going to start by just kind of some strategies and tips that we learned in our trainings to kind of help introduce them at the beginning of the year. Some we're already doing a great job of, and there's some other new ones that I saw that were really great. So they had recommended beginning with inquiry, kind of asking your kids, what do you want to be in the world in the terms of like your character and personality, helping them develop kind of an understanding of what the attributes look like in action, such as videos. And I think we do a really great job of that. Help develop the language and the vocabulary. We know kindergartners coming in, they're not going to know what the word principled means, but they might know what caring means. So, we have a big range of vocabulary within our profiles that we could help develop, and then making connections and learning through reflection, goal setting, and well-being. And the goal setting piece is what we're going to move into and focus on for most of our presentation today. So here are just some tips that they suggested through the webinars. Learner-generated posters of attributes, and some of the grade levels, y'all do a great job of having your kids design your profile posters. And I love that. That's so great to have them involved in that process. Role playing through play, setting up a store, puppet shows. Those are great for kinder and first grade. Purposeful writing. I loved the little idea of kind of like an I Caught Ya game, especially for like K2, where they could catch other kids, showing a profile. There were a couple good apps. The Strip Designer is $2, is like a $2 app. The Word Salad is free, and this is an example of the word salad, which I thought was really cool. The kids can go in, when they go in, they can type in a bunch of words. Even if they take one of the profiles, like for 3-5, they could take a profile word and put in a bunch of synonyms that also go along with that word or relate to that word. And then it makes kind of just like a word cloud. But I thought those were cool, and those could be scaffolded down all the way to kinder, first and second too. It was really easy to use. I liked they had a suggestion that also suggested having a type of help and hinder like learning chart, what would help you and what would hinder me from growing in learner profiles. And then these are just a list of some really great read alouds that they suggested at the beginning of the year. And some of these books we already read. I know that I read the What Do You Do with an Idea? What Do You Do with a Problem? But those are really, really great ones to read at the beginning of the school year. And What Does It Mean to Be Global? I know we have that in our library too. And so some of these are really great. And I'm going to share this presentation with you when we're finished. And what I kind of did, because I know we're going to have some little mini PDs all under the little agency umbrella, I just kind of went ahead and made my own little folder for student agency. And that way I could kind of drop in all the presentations so they're all in one place. So at the beginning of next year, when you're trying to, when you're in the world of Google trying to find this presentation, you'll have a little folder for it. Um, so, like I mentioned before, we're moving into goal setting. And so, goal setting is a great way to encourage student agency with the learner profile in your classroom. And I was able to pilot an idea that Ashley and I learned last year in February with the learner profiles with my kids in the classroom, with something that I was already doing. We're already doing morning meetings, and that's when I incorporate my goal setting, and we goal set on Monday and we reflect on Friday. And it's now kind of a routine that they can come in and they know they're going to goal set Monday and reflect on Friday. And so they've kind of taken that ownership, and we kind of incorporate it into that morning meeting. So it's something we're already doing. And then Marnie, Ashley, and I put together, and Narda put together several templates so you can kind of look through and pick a template that you like, pick a way that you like to kind of kick it off. So, goal setting is huge to help kids with accountability and for them to make growth every week or every 2 weeks. And so, the idea is to encourage the student ownership. Of course, you would have to model what that looks like for the first week or two. And then after that, the students should have ownership over their goal setting. And it'll kind of be led by them. So, kind of the steps of the process that they suggested is to set a goal at the beginning of the week, and then learners could choose an attribute that they would like to work on for the week. They would document this in some way. They recommended that it would be posted or visible. So I'll show you a picture of this in a minute. But in my classroom, I have my profiles with the descriptors like underneath, and I have those posted up right by the door. And so when they go to do their goal setting, they actually go and stick their goal like onto the profile so it's visible in the classroom. So they're kind of constantly reminded of it when they see it, and that seems to work really well. And then kind of like a midweek check, either during morning meeting or end of the day. So I know fourth grade, we use Pear Decks as our kind of our morning meeting time. And so in there, we kind of use a little scale of like 1, 2, 3, and they can kind of rate themselves on how they're doing with it. Sometimes we might even do just like a share out, what's something you've done to work on the goal. And so a mid check during the week is really great to check in and see how they're doing. And then we reflect at the end of the week, and we do that again during our morning meeting time. How did they do with their goal? And to make it consistent, it is nice to have them do it weekly. That way they know every Monday I do this, every Friday I do this. So they get into that routine. So setting a goal for the beginning of the week, we developed several different templates, and I'm going to give you lots of different ideas because some of you might be, I like doing it on paper and keeping it on paper. Some of you are, I love digital. You know, we do keynotes for everything. And so we have lots of different templates and lots of ideas for you to kind of choose whichever way is going to work best for you and your kids. That'll be easiest for you. So in KN1, we know that those profile words, there's 10. We know as an incoming kinder, there's going to be some of those words that they may not know what those mean, or that may not be appropriate for them yet. So maybe at the beginning of the year, maybe you just start with the two that you're using in your unit and have them pick one or the other that they'd like to work on. Or maybe you pick three, the two in your unit, and then the one that's highlighted each month for them to work on. And we have a goal setting template that I'll show you here that has everything in one for you. So this is one example of a template that you could do with your in-person kids. You could write down the three profiles that they have. They could then circle the one that they would like and then draw a picture of an action of what that would look like if they were working on that goal. And then at the end of the week, they could circle how they did. So this is scaffolded all the way down, to a basic goal setting and reflection that they can absolutely do. And then we'll show you lots of other scaffolded tools that you could use. So maybe you have a kinder that's really high functioning, and maybe this wouldn't be appropriate for them, but they could do a different type of goal setting that might be a little bit more challenging. And so I'll share that one as well. So then another option could be, this one was also shown in the training that Ashley and I attended, where the teacher actually printed the papers and laminated them, and the kids went in and wrote on them at the beginning of each week, or they stuck a sticky and wrote their goal, and then they wrote their action plan. Something really simple and straightforward, and they just went and stuck it on there. And then they could take a picture and add it into something digital to save for later. But this is another really simple way that you could goal set at the beginning of the week. Here is another option. Another option has the goal setting and reflection all in one. It says learner profile aims. It has the date, and then you choose the profile, how will you work on it, and then the date of your reflection. They choose the number of stars of how well they did that, and then why. So this could be really great for K1, 2. And then this option, Ashley created this one, and Ashley and Narda created this one, and Ashley actually implemented this one with her first graders, and we'll get to kind of see how they did with their goal setting on that. But these are really great. And then for 3 through 5, you can choose one profile, and I'm going to show you a picture of this. What I ended up doing when I created my new profile posters to put up in my room, I put the descriptor underneath, and then I pulled out, because they've embedded the attitudes that we used to have. They embedded the attitude words within the descriptor. So I made the attitude words different colors in the descriptor so that they stood out. So when my kids goal set, they might pick caring, but then they might pick an attitude word that's within it that they want to focus on. So a way to scaffold that and make it more challenging for 3 through 5 is they could choose a profile, and then they could choose maybe an embedded attitude or characteristic in the descriptor that they really want to focus on as their action step. And so a 3-5 option could be something similar to this, where they choose a profile, steps that they will take, their action step, ways their teacher can help, ways someone at home can help. And again, this could be something that you just do on paper, and you can keep it on paper, and it can go in the IB binder at the end of the year. It could be saved in a folder. It could be something that you laminate and they write on with dry erase, or they stick in those little slip covers and they can write on them at the beginning of the week and take a picture to save it. So lots of ways you could use it. And then I also did a Google form option. So I started with just my in-person learners. I felt like at the beginning of this year, since we were doing both virtual and in person, I felt like it was kind of a big feat to try to tackle both. And so I do goal setting in the classroom with the kids, but they actually do like a physical sticky note goal and action step and stick it to the poster. And that's their goal. And then they put it in a journal to reflect at the end of the week so that they're all saved in one place from the year. With my virtual kids, some of you might tend to find that a Google form might be more appropriate. And so maybe with your virtual friends, if you want to try that, I have a Google form option for you as well for them to do the goal setting at the beginning of the week. So what can this look like? So here's the pictures that I was mentioning earlier. This is kind of what it looks like in my classroom. And then I kind of told you how I kind of highlighted and made the attitude words different colors. So they could say, oh, if I'm choosing principled, I'm going to work on integrity, or I'm going to work on respect. And so they pulled out a key thing that would be like their action step. And then they would just go and stick it up here. And then on Friday at the end of the week, when they come in first thing in the morning, I have my morning announcements and I just say, all right, go reflect on your goal. They take their sticky note off, put it in their journal, and then they write their reflection of how they felt they did with it. And we share some of those like during our morning meeting times. But again, what can this look like? You can use Flipgrid. You could do Pear Deck. You could just do their name on a sticky note. If they want to do a paper thing and you want a way to kind of display it in your room so they don't forget what their goal was, they could even in Kinder, they could write their name on a sticky note and stick it on the word so that they can remember which one they're working on. That would be really easy to do. And you can always use the paper template option too. And so I wanted to share with you because Ashley kind of was a risk taker. I'm going to have her kind of share kind of what she did with her goal setting, and we can see some examples of her first graders as they did the goal setting for them, just to kind of so you can kind of see the scaffolding that Ashley did, and then also ways that we can work with the lower kids on this, but also the higher kids with this one. So I will turn it over to her.
Thank you. Okay, so this year in first grade, we've had a hard time with our units just because of the way that everything's flowed. So we've kind of narrowed our thinking more towards teaching the attributes of the learner profile, because the training that I actually did, I think it was the conference that we did virtually, I watched a training where it was like primary, so pre-K, kinder, and first. And the teacher that was talking was telling all about how her kids use the attributes in their everyday language. And the example that she gave was her kids were writing letters to Santa Claus. And inside of their letters, they were talking about how I really want an Xbox for Christmas. I've been a really great communicator. I've talked through my problems in the classroom with my friends, and they were just seamlessly using these attributes in their writing. And so I kind of decided to kind of start really narrowing in on those and really explicitly teaching those during our morning meetings. What do those words mean? What do they look like? Because my end goal for the end of the year is for them to kind of leave, not just saying I'm a risk taker when I try things that I'm afraid of. Because I think that's kind of one of those just kind of go-tos. So I think every one of our attributes kind of has one of those go-tos. Like I'm caring because I help my friends when they're hurt. And so we kind of started having those conversations in morning meeting. And then I decided to volunteer as tribute to take the task of doing it in the classroom. And I have not done it with my virtual kids yet. I just did it with my in-person kids. And so the one that you see on the screen right now is an example of one of my higher kids. And so what I told them was they could choose from 4 of the profile or the attributes that we've really been talking about. Risk taker, caring, communicator, and thinker. And I think those are ones that we've done as a school because I really kind of focus in on those in my morning meetings. Like right now, we're talking all about being a risk taker. So this learner chose to do being a risk taker. And it was kind of fun. In the top box, I said, just draw me a picture or write me a sentence or 2 about what you think it means to be a risk taker, or what does it look like to be a risk taker. And so in the top box, I really saw them tie in their learning to it. And so we've been talking all about Black History Month. and Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks and people like that. And so I don't know if you could tell because I scanned it in, so it's not the best, um, not the best picture, but he's talking about how he must end segregation and use, I mean, even just using those words, I was kind of very surprised with the things that they were able to show me in their pictures. And then the bottom box is where I said, okay, now I want you to tell me, what can you do this month to become a better risk taker, or what steps can you take to be a risk taker? And we talked about how it's not just, doing things that we're scared of. And so this learner said, and I told it could be in school or out of school. And he had said, he can be more of a risk taker by trying new things. And that's what he brought to me at first. So I said, okay, but what kind of things? I need you to be more specific. I need you to pick a goal. So at the end of the month, I can say, what did you do? What things did you try? And so he added like eating, I think it says a new fish. He wants to try different types of fish this month. And so then we kind of like brainstormed, okay, well, he goes, because I really like salmon. I said, okay, do you like tilapia? And he goes, oh, I've never heard of that. And so we talked about that. And so he put a little list on the back of his page, which you can't see on here, of like types of fish that he wants to try. And so that's kind of like a non-school related one, but still a good example of being a risk taker. And then I'm pulling out just so I can read them. I have my hard copies in front of me too. So this is an example of one of like a lower learner. And so I scribed for her because it's a little bit easier to get things done. But as you can see at the top, she chose being a risk taker as well. And she depicted a picture of Rosa Parks because we had just learned about her and how she was a risk taker when she stood up and said that she wasn't going to give up her seat on the bus, which led to the boycott. And then she decided that this month she's going to try to stand up for her friends at recess when someone is not being kind to them. And so my plan is to, from these forms, they set their goals, have more intentional morning meetings and do check-ins throughout the month and say, I know you said you wanted to stand up for a friend when someone is mean to them at recess. What have you done this month so far to meet that goal? And so that, I mean, it's new. I've just started it, so I can't say that I haven't had any of the check-ins. We did this today. But that is my plan. And I was actually very surprised. I was nervous at first. I was like, oh, this is a lot for them to do. But they really surprised me with the things that they were able to come up with. I know there was a lot of having to talk about what is a goal? What does a goal look like? How do you know if you've met your goal? What steps can you take to meet this goal? So we had to have a lot of those conversations. So it was a little hectic, kind of trying to run around to everybody and make sure that they, we're getting exactly what it means to have a goal. So I maybe next year would do more of pre-teaching of what does a goal look like. But it went really well. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley.